Good afternoon and thank you for joining us. I'm Jurnee Taylor. Let's take a look at some of the stories we're following at this time. Coming off of a full weekend of deadly crime, what we're learning now at noon in less than 22 minutes. Courtrooms are not always welcoming of news cameras, but thank goodness for people like Bill Hennessy. Just ahead, how he documents history one sketch at a time. This season of Yellowstone will be its last. Everything you need to know to make sure you don't miss the last season of Yellowstone at 12:23. But we also want to take a look at weather. Let's check in with meteorologist Nathan Scott. Nathan, it's Monday and it's a sticky and muggy, and I can go on and on about it.
Good Monday afternoon, Jurnee. Yeah, it is feeling like summer out there. It seems like we just jumped right into summer, even though the calendar says it is May 8th. It feels like summer has arrived. We start off the day with clouds. Now those clouds starting to break up and the temperatures are heating up into the upper 70s to lower 80s. They will continue to climb throughout the rest of the afternoon with mixture of sun and clouds expected. Radar loop is all quiet at this time. There's a small chance we could see maybe an isolated spotty shower storm popping up, but most locations will stay dry. Look at your numbers today. Closing in at 90 degrees. We hit 91 on Saturday at Little Rock Airport. That's the first time we've seen it this year, and we're going to get pretty close this afternoon to reaching 90 degrees once again. But we're in an unsettled weather pattern, and we do have a small risk. There could be maybe a couple of strong storms, primarily in North Arkansas and Northeast Arkansas this evening into tonight. But everybody in the state does have that slim chance, really. There could be a strong, possibly severe thunderstorm. I'll let you know what the main concerns are and talk about unsettled weather going into the rest of the work week coming up.
Thank you, Nathan. Well, in a THV 11 update, officials in Pine Bluff are looking for a suspect in the city's 8th homicide of the year. Early Sunday morning, officers responded to a call for a shooting victim at Jefferson Regional Medical Center. When they arrived, 4 shooting victims were receiving treatment. Among those victims, police say a 16-year-old was pronounced dead, while another victim is now in stable condition. 2 others were treated for non-life-threatening injuries. Police say they have since learned the shooting happened at Martin Luther King Jr. Park, and we are still working to learn more. And Little Rock police are searching for a suspect in a deadly shooting that happened near Roosevelt and Asher Avenue Saturday afternoon. That's where officials found a 29-year-old man shot at least once. He was taken to the hospital where he later died. Officials secured the area and are still investigating, but police have not released details on any suspect as of this afternoon. Across the river, North Little Rock police are also still investigating a deadly shooting over the weekend. Police responded to reports of gunshots near 41st and Camp Robinson Road around 2 o'clock Saturday morning. At the scene, officers found a man dead inside a car with its hazard lights on. Police haven't released the victim's name and are still working to identify a suspect. Investigators in Arkansas County have a mystery on their hands after a body was found in a burned truck. The gruesome discovery was made on Thursday near Stuttgart. Since then, officials learned the destroyed white Ford F-250 had been reported stolen 2 days earlier in the small town of Almira. The body inside was sent to the state crime lab to be identified. Officials still don't know when the fire was started or what or who caused it. THV 11 is working to learn more in all of these cases, and we will provide updates as they become available at thv11.com. Investigators are looking into whether the shooter in this weekend's deadly mass shooting at a mall outside Dallas had links to a neo-Nazi group. The gunman killed 8 people and injured 7 others Saturday afternoon before a police officer killed him. Omar Villanfaca is in Allen, Texas.
Dozens of shots rang out at the busy Allen Premium Outlets Mall Saturday afternoon as shoppers sprinted to safety.
I've got victims. We need an ambulance.
The gunman, seen here in dashcam video we've frozen, fired dozens of rounds at customers outside the stores.
It was nonstop, and there was nothing we could do.
Police say an officer who was at the mall for an unrelated call confronted and killed the gunman.
I saw people running from the mall, and I'm like, well, this ain't good.
Steven Spainhauer raced to the scene after receiving a call from his son, who was working at one of the stores.
I started counting bodies. I counted 7.
Spainhauer said he arrived before police got to the mall and started looking for survivors.
A little boy was just soaked with blood from head to toe, crawled out from under one of the victims and started walking around saying, "My mama's hurt," over and over and over. So I grabbed him and put him around the corner so he could get him out of the area of trauma.
You ran across 3 people who were dead.
Yes.
Until you found somebody who was alive.
Yes.
Did you find out anything about that little boy?
I still don't know what happened to him. I would like to think he is okay, but it was a little tough.
The Army veteran says this scene was horrific.
It was a war zone there. There's no way these people could have survived the assault of those weapons.
2 law enforcement sources tell CBS News that the shooter had a patch on his clothing that said RWDS. They believe that stands for Right-Wing Death Squad, associated with extremist right-wing neo-Nazi groups. Investigators say they're also looking to see if the shooter was associated with cartels or prison gangs. Omar Villafranca, CBS News, Allen, Texas.
Well, authorities have not provided details about the victims yet, but the family of 20-year-old Christian LaCour identified him as one of the victims. He was working as a security guard at the mall. Authorities in Brownsville, Texas are holding a news conference today to address the deadly incident outside a migrant shelter. 8 people are dead after an SUV slammed into a crowd of people waiting for a bus in the border city. Surveillance video from the shelter shows some victims were sitting on a curb when the driver hit them with a Range Rover. Most of the victims are Venezuelan men. The driver was taken to the hospital and arrested as police work to determine if the incident was intentional. 1,500 U.S. soldiers and Marines will arrive on the U.S. southern border this week to help with the expected increase of migrants as Title 42 nears its end. The restrictions allowed the government to quickly expel migrants during the COVID pandemic. The government says it is prepared to handle the new arrivals, but not everyone is convinced. Texas Governor Greg Abbott says Fed actions are not enough, and he's ordering a deployment of his own.
Up to 10,000 National Guard members and 1,200 Texas Department of Public Safety troopers.
The Biden administration says they have been fighting to end Title 42 for some time and are adding more preventative actions, such as increasing Border Patrol appointments for asylum seekers and increasing the number of deportation flights for those that come into the country illegally. Well, a heads up for you this afternoon. We are now less than a month away from the deadline to assess your personal property. State law requires you to assess your property every year before May 31st. Those who do not face a 10% penalty. Now, this is all part of the property tax procedure where you pay taxes on your personal property like cars in addition to your real estate. Pulaski County Assessor's Office Chief Administrator Joe Thompson says while the late fee can be small for some, they do want to help you avoid the penalty altogether. But here's an interesting question we've gotten. What do you do if you just bought a car this month?
Now, the one caveat is if you buy a vehicle in May, you have 30 days from the date of the date of purchase. So obviously, if you bought a vehicle on May 20th, you wouldn't be expected to assess it by May 31st. You have until June 20th. So.
Now, Thompson says one misconception is that although you are assessing for the current year right now, you will actually pay taxes on your property from the previous year each year. He told us that the assessor's office will start putting out more announcements and reminders soon, so make sure you stay on top of it. Now, many counties, including Pulaski County, have an option for you to stop by the office. You can simply call in and assess, or you can do it all online. Again, the deadline is May 31st. Well, speaking of taxes, some of you may have a check coming your way. TurboTax just reached a settlement over the software maker's tactics that allegedly tricked consumers into paying for tax services that should have been free. The $141 million settlement includes all 50 states and Washington, D.C. So let's verify. How do you know you get the money and who qualifies? Our sources are Attorney General's offices for Maryland, Virginia, and D.C. If you used TurboTax to file your taxes in 2016, 2017, or 2018, you qualify for money. Now, you don't have to do anything to get it. Just sit back and wait for the check to arrive in the mail. But don't expect much. The AG's office says the average payout will be between $25 and $50 per person. I'll still take that though. Well, his eyes survey what news cameras cannot. When we come back, we introduce you to the man providing a look inside some of the controversial court cases around the country. But first, let's check in with our Monday forecast. Nathan, what are you seeing?
Jurnee, we've got lots of haze out there because of the humidity, and eventually showers and storms will return to the forecast. I'll have more on that timeline and how much rain we could see coming up.